Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping in today. Another lovely little project to share with you today. This one's a bit different and it's almost got a bit more of an arty look. I love things like this because I'm not very arty. I wish I was, but can't draw for toffee. But to be fair, that's why I'm so pleased that Tracy draws the stamps for us, because then it means I can use them and I can, almost feel like I'm drawing. Now, we're using the Hummingbird and this is a small one, but this will work with lots of other stamps too. So if you've ordered the Hummingbird and you're waiting for it to arrive, or if it's on your wish list for maybe later in the year for a birthday or a special occasion, maybe try it with one of your florals because it's a lovely technique. And what I'm going to be using is, and I'm just going to move that out of the way because I don't want to spoil it, these beautiful, and again, you know me, I struggle with names, Gansai Tambi, is that how we pronounce it? Anyway, these lovely paints. Now, I bought them last time I went on a trip to Lavinia and I haven't used them yet. And as soon as I saw the Hummingbird, I thought it's going to give me a good excuse to literally get my paints out. So I've just spritzed them with a little bit of water so they're ready for when I want to play. And I'm going to be using our lovely watercolour card. So this is a Lavinia hot pressed watercolour card. I'm just going to put the packaging down by Eric. And I've also used the framelits. So as you know, now at Lavinia, Tracy's now selling some Sizzix dies, and I have to say I love Sizzix dies. I've got a Bigshot, use it all the time, and this is fabulous if you're not good at matting and layering. But even if you just want, I mean, I found it useful because I've got a lot of odd shaped bits of card left, so I can cut them in squares now. So what I did was I chose the two largest ones, and the next to largest one I've cut out my watercolour card. And then the largest one I used to just cut my black frame. And funny enough, I had a piece of card that was just slightly bigger that I'd kept. So it was a win-win for me. So do check those out. They're on the website. There's lots of other ones too. Right, I'm just going to file that on the floor next to Eric, who is just had his lunch. So he's fast asleep, but he may just snore a little. Now, we're going to start by stamping. So this is, as I say, our watercolour card. And I'm going to be using the Clear Gloss, the Wow Clear Gloss powder, embossing powder. I just love... Oh, look at that. I've got a little mark there. But you know what? We won't notice that. I'm going to use my black Versafine Clair. And I just want the embossing because it just gives me a little bit of a gutter, a raised edge when I'm using a watercolour technique like this with any sort of paints or ink. And it's just something I prefer to do. If you're happy just stamping on your watercolour card, you know, by all means, you just do whatever's best for you. We're all different, aren't we? So I've just got some ink on the side of my block. And if I don't wipe it off, it'll end up, we'll have 2 marks on my card. So I'm just going to position my Hummingbird, I think, there. Now, I must admit, I intended using the larger one. I thought it would show up better, but I didn't have a large enough piece of watercolour card. I need another packet, so when I'm there, that's on my list. It is funny, I always have things, every time I go, there's always something, no matter how many lists I make. I don't know if you're the same. There's always something I don't quite get, or I forget, or I put lots of other things in, you know, things that aren't on my list, things that I just like the look of. And that's what happened with these paints, to be honest. They weren't on my list when I went. There we go. Fabulous. So we'll add our embossing powder. There we go. And I'm just going to tip it off like we do. Give it a bit of a pat. And then we'll move this out of the way. And put this all back in there. Still amazes me this, you know. I think it's one of the first, well, it's one of the first things I saw in crafting. I don't know about you, but, oh, knocking my light. It just, I never get over it. You know, I just love watching it, and I think when we're crafters, that's what we're like. So a little bit of heat now. So I'm going to use my heat tool. I'm just going to put it on fast. So it might be a bit noisy, I'm afraid. As always, let it heat up first. And then once it's heated up, just bring it close to your work. And then slowly move around the design. And then if you catch it in the light, you'll be able to see where it's all beautifully glossy and embossed. Now I'm going to bring myself just a spare mat, just because I don't want to get any paint on my lovely Lavinia mat. Now this is the pearl colours. There are different collections. And as I say, I thought the pearls would go lovely with the Hummingbird. Now I do need a piece of kitchen towel. And what I'm going to do is just spritz my bird. I'm going to make the background first. So I'm just spritzing around the bird on the card. And my secret weapon for this is just something to hold the card down instead of using my hand. And this for me is one of those little free stirrers that you get when you get a certain make of beverage. Now, I'm going to start with my colours, and I think we'll go for some yellow just round his beak. And I want the colours to move in the water, so I'm dipping it in and this brush is the number 10. I just felt it was the right sort of size for this. Then I'm going to come in the pink. And as I say, I want the colours to move and bleed out. And I'll just let them react as much as they want. We can always add more water. Right, let's add a little bit of blue sort of to the wing area and see where that takes us. And then down to the base, we'll go for a little bit of green down here. Now what I love about this is if I want it to react more, I can just take my spritzer bottle, spritz it a bit more. And if I want to help the movement, look, I can almost just jog that colour along and say, just come down here a bit. The same here. Let's have a bit of green in this corner. But if I think it's almost too much colour, I can dab a little bit up. So we've done this sort of thing before. I just love doing this type of... Now, it is better if you let this dry naturally. And what you can do is come back in and add a little bit more colour, and look how it moves and glistens. Now, I want a bit more of this pink in here and just maybe under here, just going down this way. Now there, I've purposely done that. That's too strong a colour for me. So what I can do, I can add some water and just dry it. And then we just get that paler colour. So it'll just flow down nicely. So the idea with this is just take your time. Just play. Just let the colours move. Now, as I say, for me, it's better if you let it dry naturally. But I'm just going to come in because I want to show you the next stage. So I'll just use my heat tool. I've dried it a little bit with my kitchen towel. But you can imagine, I mean, really, you could stay longer and we could have a better play. But I'm sure you've got other things to do. So whenever you dry from the front, always dry from the back. And I'm being mindful, I've got my embossing there, so I don't want to overcook it with the drying. But can you see, that gives you an idea of how we create that background, and the shimmer is stunning. So what I'm going to do now is just go back in with my paints and then bring back that detail. So I just want these areas here pink, and I can paint that lovely detail in. So, and you can decide, I mean, you can have multicoloured. I mean, I purposely didn't look up Hummingbird to see what colours they were, because I thought mine's a magical one and I'm just going to do this my sort of magical colours. And the lovely thing is you won't lose any of that line detail because we've done the embossing. I'm just going to turn it round and just see if we can get that lovely blue in here, look. Now again, this would be lovely to batch card make, and I also think this would look lovely in a frame. Because you could do all your backgrounds, leave it to dry, and then even come in the next day and add the detail. I mean, even the detail here, you can do, I can add some general background colour like this, and then once it's dry, I can come in and add a lovely darker colour. So I'm just going to wash my brush. I'm just going to dry it before going into the yellow, because I want to pick up a little bit of the yellow just for the beak and these lovely bits on his neck here. Now, if I bring that up to show you, now when that's dry, and it's as simple as that. But as I say, you will take your time, you will just add bit by bit, and it really is a process. Like I say, if you find the colours too much, add a little bit more water. If you don't like the way it's going, use your kitchen towel and just dab it up. If you wanted to add, say, a few splats, here, add a few little splats. Maybe we'll add a few little blue ones at the top. Just pick it up. And when they dry, they really will. I mean, look at the colours. And that red is gorgeous, but I was trying not to use the red, so I've used the pink, the yellow, the green, the blue. Not really used the white much. I'm thinking I've got another project for that in mind. So, and imagine, now I'm thinking, this I think could be a design for a Christmas, not with the hummingbird, but again, I've got another stamp in mind. But this is what happens with crafting, isn't it? When we start crafting, we get all these different ideas. Now, here's the finished one. So as I say, I let this dry, I painted the bird, and then I went back in and just added a little bit more paint. Sorry, excuse me. Just where I wanted that extra detail. And I finished it off with one of our lovely sentiment stickers from set 6. And I couldn't decide between get the paints out because I'd painted, but I liked gifted and blessed. So I hope you've enjoyed that. And I hope you will have a little play. If you've got the paints, have a little play with them. And I'd love to see what you do, which stamp you use. But as I say, I think in a frame, this would be fabulous. So you take care. Let's keep sharing our crafting. Have fun. That's the main thing. Just enjoy yourself. I'll see you again soon. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.